Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got a really interesting question that I've been holding on to for a while because I haven't really had time to think about it. But I just spent about, 20 minutes thinking about this. And I've come up with the answer. I've got it now, and I'm pretty sure of this answer. So this question is from Will, and he says, "Hi, John. Here's a question I'm hoping you tackle on your next video/podcast series. What would you do with $5,000 starting on January 1st to maximize your return by December 31st of the same year? Please assume you don't have the massive social following you have, nor the websites, just your current skill set and incredible drive. Thank you as always, William." So, William, I thought about this for a little bit, and so since you haven't given me very many restrictions here, I'm going to optimize. I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to optimize for 1 year only, not any return after that. So the idea will be we're going to do something with $5,000 that's only going to benefit you in 1 year. You're not going to be building a business or anything that would benefit you in the future because we're trying to maximize the return. I'm also going to assume that you have time, right? Because you didn't say passive investment or anything like that. So if you've got $5,000 and you're looking to really maximize the return, if you have the time to put into it, and if you were going to build a business, you'd need the time anyway, then what could you do? But I am also going to make another assumption here that you want this to be virtually risk-free, because otherwise I would just tell you go to Vegas and basically like play maybe the pass line on on a high limits craps table, or play some kind of really close to 50-50 odds game and bet it all, and then bet it all again, and maybe 25% of the time you're going to end up with $20,000, and the rest of the time you're going to end up bust. So we're going to assume make those assumptions here that you actually want to make some money and you want it to be pretty much guaranteed you're going to spend the time, and it's going to be just for this year. So I thought about this. My first reaction was to try and do something with the stock market. Like, I thought, okay, well, let's buy like a blue chip stock like GE. We'll get dividends on that 4 times, and then we'll be selling covered calls against the maybe like 3 months out. The only problem with that is it's not going to give you that much return. You're going to get like 3 to 4% on the dividend. You're going to get selling the covered calls, since the market's not so volatile right now. You're not going to make much. Maybe you're going to make like $50 to $100 per month, if even. So that's not going to. I mean, at the end of the day, end of the year, maybe you're at like $6,000 or $7,000 if things go in your favor, and you might lose a little bit of money. So that's not really good. I thought about doing some kind of business type of thing, but again, we don't want to really like invest in the future, because we're trying to maximize the return right away. So what I'm thinking would make the most sense would actually be to buy something at a low price and sell it at a high price. Surprise, right? Buy low, sell high. But you want to do this in one sort of big chunk. I mean, you could do it in smaller transactions, but since you don't have a real market, you don't have a website, an audience, or anything, you don't have the liquidity to sell something. So how can we, what do we need? That means that we need something that we can easily acquire, that we can find someone to do a trade with, and that we can easily find a buyer for. So that really leaves big ticket items, right? You could try small things to trade up, but it's probably going to take a lot of time, and like I said, you don't have the liquidity, you don't have the audience to sell it with. So this means, in this price range, a car. So here's what I would do. I'm not mechanically inclined. I don't know jack crap about cars, but you probably do, or maybe you do. If you don't know anything about cars, then I'm pretty sure that you could probably find a mechanic buddy, or make a deal with a mechanic, and basically structure a deal like this. Basically, I will pay you $500 to help me find an undervalued car that I can fix up for cheap for $4,000, that I buy from like $3,500, maybe somewhere, say $3,000 to $4,000, and you're going to put in somewhere around $1,000 to fix it up. And this guy is going to help you do that. And also you're going to give him 25% of the profits that you make above the sales price. So the idea would be this. You've got all year to do this, right? So you can basically shop around through Craigslist. In fact, you might be able to pull this number off multiple times throughout the year, depending on how much time that you spend. But again, I don't know a huge amount about cars. I've sold some cars on Craigslist and bought cars on Craigslist. And I think what you could probably do is you could probably find a car that maybe is like $3,500, pay your mechanic buddy $500, so you're in $4,000 for it, and you put $1,000 worth of repair and fix-ups into this because you're selecting this car. First of all, you're selecting a car that is being underpriced, and then second of all, you're negotiating down on the price. So maybe you're like finding like 10 of these deals, you go out, you check them out, 5 of them turn out good, and 5 of them you lowball and 1 person accepts. So you're basically getting a car that, as it's in its current condition, it might sell for $5,000 or $6,000, but you're picking it up for $3,000. But in a fix-up condition, maybe it would sell for $7,000 or $8,000. So you're going to do that, right? You're going to fix this thing up. So you've put maybe your $5,000 into it at this point, and you're going to sell it for $7,000 or $8,000. You're going to pay your buddy 25% of that, unless you've already got the skills yourself. Then you've got a bigger bankroll to go. So now you can buy a little bit of a bigger car, and you can repeat this as many times as you can. Hopefully you don't get burned as long as you're making good decisions. But that's where getting the mechanic buddies help would make sense. But maybe you could pull this off like 3 or 4 times in a year. So maybe you could take that $5,000 and you could turn it into $15,000 or $20,000. I could definitely see that. And if you're really skilled, maybe you could turn it into something like $50,000. But at that point, you'd probably have a business, and you should probably start doing that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the best thing that I could come up with. I mean, you could probably do some kind of variation of this with maybe buying like used computers and then upgrading them and selling them, or going to thrift stores and finding deals on stuff. But in order to be able to turn this over as many times as possible, you want to find something that is right where it's one single purchase. So that's why a car seems to work in this place. Basically, you'd be flipping cars. Essentially, is what you'd be doing. Maybe you could buy them at auction, or you could find out some way to wholesale or find a discount price. In fact, this probably is a good business model because a lot of people do this. In fact, everyone who seems to rent out my commercial office space that I have in Boise, Idaho, seems to be doing exactly this. So yeah, I think there's money in this, and that's what I would do. But again, this is not something that's gonna this is a single transaction thing. In fact, you're probably not going to be building once you do this, you're not building anything after that, right? It's just like you're just doing this. But you asked the question, so that's my answer. So if you got a better answer, if you think there's a better way to turn $5,000 into more money by the end of the year, leave a comment below and let me know. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this, if you've got some better idea, because I racked my brain about this a little bit, and yeah, I just can't come up with anything better than that. And the downside is, so you might ask the question of well, why aren't you doing this, John? And the answer is because it takes a lot of time. So if you've got time, if you have time and you don't have a lot of money, this is probably a good way to make some money, I would assume. And I don't know how bad the competition is, but it can't be that bad from the last time that I tried to sell a car or buy a car. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, if you like this video, subscribe. Talk to you next time.